Kevin Fry was there at the ceremony, and Kevin, let me bring you into this conversation as they retreat back into the White House. I'm curious what stood out to you. I can't but notice how many times she wiped her nose during her speaking, just because we're seeing that COVID uptick in Washington. Was that emotion that we were seeing from her, or did she have a cold? It's a little concerning.
I mean, certainly, I will say that I'm far enough away that I could not make out what was going on that close up on her face. But I would say, look, she was clearly very emotional throughout the course of these remarks, kind of tying this rather dramatic and historic thread, going from the dreams of a slave to saying very collectively in her remarks that we've made it, all of us have made it. Speaking, one can only assume primarily to African-American black women across this country, arguing that she hopes to be a role model, a responsibility she says that she takes both with a great deal of pride, but also a great deal of humility, knowing that that is going to be a big task to uphold. I was struck, though, that this whole ceremony began by the first black woman to serve as vice president, introducing Joe Biden, but also introducing the first black woman to now be confirmed to the Supreme Court, truly underscoring kind of the history of this moment in many different ways. And Joe Biden serving as somewhat of a nexus here, the first vice president to a black man to serve as president, and then, of course, selecting the first black woman to serve as vice president and to serve on the Supreme Court. One other kind of maybe political note here throughout the course of these remarks, Annika. He did take a bit of a pointed accusation and criticism, I should say, at the Republicans who were on that panel that did the hearings over the past few weeks, calling some of their comments and their lines of questioning both vile and verbal abuse that she had to undergo throughout this confirmation. That is a pretty direct line of remark from this president, who had so far kind of strayed away from commenting on how the hearings were going.
You know, I'm interested, Kevin, to hear your view on that, because while it was no doubt a contentious hearing that she underwent, the Republicans seemed like they were getting in their punches, even though this does not change the balance of power at all on the court. The Republicans, the conservatives, maintain a supermajority, 6-3 on the U.S. Supreme Court. It seemed like this was sort of their chance just to get on the record with this, especially now that we are in a midterm election year.
Right, so there's a couple threads to pull out there. One, the Republicans were kind of trying to use this ceremony to highlight some of the issues they're going after Democrats over heading into the midterms, including this notion, this narrative that Democrats are soft on crime, kind of trying to paint Ketanji Brown Jackson to illustrate, in their view, the Democrats heading into the midterm elections. We also have some of those Republicans on the panel who are, quite frankly, folks that are being eyed as potential contenders in the 2024 presidential contest. This is a big platform for them to speak publicly, and a way for them to really make a name for themselves. But at the end of the day, look, the wheels were somewhat greased for this nomination. All the Democratic senators pretty easily coming out in support of her. It was just really a big question of, will they get any Republican buy-in? And you did see a few, but obviously only 3 in a very highly divided Congress.
And today, really, and we can see by the hugs behind you and the whole celebration and the pomp of this event, really a day 4 celebration, something that President Biden said he wanted to do. This was one of the first decisions he made when he became president, that he wanted to nominate a black woman to the U.S. Supreme Court. He didn't have the chance for that kind of celebration a little more than a month ago when he announced that he was nominating her.
Yeah, I mean, look, the nomination was announced just within, I believe, 24 hours of the start of the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. So that has been kind of underscoring this entire process, kind of robbing him of the chance to really celebrate the history. But today, a big celebration, as the war in Ukraine has somewhat, for better or for worse, fallen a bit to the back burner, as it has gone on now for more than a month.
Kevin Fry at the White House for us. Thank you so much for that.